Hi, so this is my video. A little bit about myself and a little bit about my why. I thought I'd do a video explaining a little bit about my past, my life, my education as such. There's a lot going on. I've said this in every video, a lot going on. But where are we now? We're just September 2021. And I've had a bit of a tough time, and I had a bit of a funny day, actually, interestingly. So we are just going full moon on Monday and equinox coming on Wednesday. So as a acupuncturist, a spiritual guide, I do soul retrievals, I do work with people that are really, really mentally struggling and physically. And I struggle with explaining sometimes what I do to people. Now, I don't work in a doctor's surgery. No, I don't. But I do know a lot about the body and about the laws of nature, which is the truth. And I sometimes have to hold, and I feel like I can't have my own opinion on the the way I treat people, sort of this medical side to it, just because I'm not a doctor, but in my eyes I'm better than a doctor, and I'll explain why. So my why, and this may not suit everyone, that's absolutely fine, but I need to do this video for myself, and then I can explain to people why I do know about the body so much, and why I know about what laws of nature, and why I can predict what's happening with COVID. My why. So as a child, I had abuse from the age of 6 to 11, roughly, quite severe sexual abuse. So severe, actually, I had to lock it out of my brain to the age of 35. I'm expressing this not for pity or sympathy, just to express about how I know about the subconscious and amnesia of the human race and what's happening now. So I had this, and this is how I can see it and how I can see these patterns. I've processed a lot of my trauma, not all of it, but with trauma and processing unprocessed trauma, there is the light, and there is gifts, and there is beauty. And this is what is happening to the whole of humanity right now with COVID, in my understanding of the truth that is given to me from the spirit world, way beyond any government medical system. And 90% of the subconscious is not understood fully. Now, I had amnesia of my trauma, so I'm trying to relate this and my understanding and how I processed my amnesia and what it did for me. So when I woke up, I had very extreme mental health, and I'm very proud to be a sufferer of mental health. As I said, I've processed a lot of it. And so mental health, in my opinion, is an awakening. Spiritual awakening is being aware of your spirit body. Your emotions come from your body, your organ system, and we've been closed off to understanding our emotions for thousands and thousands of years, since Egyptian times. When we spiritually awake, it means we emotionally awake to the physical, the physics, the atoms, the memories in our cells that have belonged to our ancestral past and our soul for thousands and thousands of years. This is what's happening to everybody, all on a different level. There is no competition, and there is no hurry to wake sleeping people up, because we are in enough mess as it is. And there is a reason that the earth is just awakening some souls at a divine time. All right, so that we can carry each other along the journey of the whole waking of the earth. We cannot, the earth is doing this. The earth is awakening. COVID is awakening of the earth. The Great Awakening is being predicted. It's in the Bible. It's in Notre Dame. So you look at the history. Okay, the closure of the spiritual realm happened in Egyptian times. This is fact. This is history. This is how I know my stuff. Now, when I woke up at the age of 35, I died. I had a cardiac arrest. I had a spiritual attack. I was on my own. The system didn't help me. None of the system was able to help me. It actually made me worse, and it nearly made me die again, and it nearly made me lose my son. So I had to find different ways, and I was guided when I came back down. I had information from angels when I was there of what I would be doing when I came back down, and I was told that I would be helping humanity and a time on earth. This was 5-6 years ago, I might add, and now I understand what that message was. I've kept quiet a little bit about this because it's been a big thing for me to talk about my abuse. Anyone that has had this experience of any sexual abuse, especially childhood abuse, for a long amount of time. My abuse was in my home, and it was for a long amount of time, and I had nowhere to go, so I had to put it in my box, in my subconscious, and I put. And this is us thinking in a box, and the triangle and the circles of life, and this is us stepping out of the system of they keeping us in a box. This is trauma. So I'm a trauma specialist. I've worked with many people because I worked on myself. Okay, and I also, when I wasn't awake to my trauma, I was also aware, and this goes back to the system. Anyone that works with anyone in the health system is because it makes them feel better. Okay, so anyone you're working with in the health system, you ask them what they're doing on their own trauma. If they're not doing anything, they're using your trauma to make themselves feel better. I was doing this unaware. I used to work with addiction issues and things like this. We're all doing it. Okay, we're all doing it until we wake up and realize that we're actually needing each other. And there's a push and pull, and there's an empathetic issue and a narcissism thing. There's all of this going, this push and pull. And as we wake up, we're going to become much more see-through with our bodies in a frequency. And this is how humanity should be. When the eye is open, the triangle is released, the throat is open, the DNA we will be able to feel. We all have psychic abilities. This is why people are having psychosis, because psychosis is spiritual awakening. And you hear voices because there are dark forces and there's light forces. And they're past people, the spirit people that have passed. They are there, the soul is alive. All right, all of this is going to be, and when we get to a certain point of this awakening, and I believe 2030 is when we have to keep the earth alive, the body of the earth is the main thing. She is a she because she is a female body. If you look at the planets, this is why we call her. There's some planets are male. Had a big trauma. She is like having a human female body, and she has cells. We are her cells, and each country is a symbolism of one of her organ system, hence why we have different cultural issues. There's actually no war between any culture. All right, the war is from the dark forces, which is the virus in the body, in the earth field. All right, they are forces that are up in the galaxy that do not want the truth, and they do not want the earth to awaken up, because they're back in time. There was a war over, a jealousy war over the planet Earth, because actually 3D, which is actually we're keeping 3D, all right, but we're just not going to be holding so much trauma. So this 5D, we're going to go up to about 11, I believe, 11 dimensions when you split the atom. All right, but we're going to have all these dimensions and are going to be able, we're all going to see them, feel them, hear them, be in them, be safe in them. All right, the yin and yang sign from the light and the dark and the light are going to live in harmony once again. This is what is going to happen. This is the future. This is the light. This is what is coming, the light and the dark. Okay, we can't have one without the other. There's no life force without one on the other. But the moment there's manipulation, there's fracture, the force, the war is getting stronger because we're at the end. The war started thousands of years ago in the Egyptian period. Okay, when the pyramid was built, it blocked the consciousness to the father light energy from above, which is why men are mainly more perpetrators, because they're actually being possessed by dark forces. I've had the darkness in my life for a very long time and in my past lives. I've been a man in a past life. So I'm not against men. And I had to research this because I had to understand why was rape and abuse in my life. Not just in my childhood, but remember up to the age of 35, I didn't remember that I had abuse. So I'd had abuse all of that time beyond, because my body was repeating it and repeating it and repeating it. Not by everybody who's around me. I had some good people that I met along the way, but I was along the way, had this, it still kept happening to me until I woke up. So every trauma that we have in our soul, and I also know, just going back to that actually, I now know from my Arcturian different paths from the High Council that some of us here chose these certain traumas, so I can experience these experiences which are very dark. But I experience the darkness in my life, so I can help others with the darkness and understanding. I can face the dark now, and now I do clear entities, I clear viruses from people. Okay, so the COVID is COVID coming from the earth. It's going to come Halloween and Easter, and we've got another 6 years to go, the figure of 8. All right, time is speeding up, and the moon is the trauma on the earth. All right, but there are dark forces that are taking over the awakening of COVID, and they're telling us that we put a mask on it and we cover up the identity of the trauma on earth. No. This is happening to children now. This is why I'm standing up and doing this video. And I've done a lot of preparation. It was quite hard for me to talk about the darkness in my life, but they are now saying that vaccines for children. So the vaccine, basically, I've studied obviously like a lot. I've devoted my life to this shite. The pineal gland at the back of the head. Okay, so when we have trauma, you have a car accident, you have a sexual abuse, you have manipulation, anything that makes you do that, fight and flight. Okay, we have different extremes of this, and if you've had it over extended amount of time, it has a different severity to your body and your past life. But what happens is, so when you have your soul like a cell, okay, so you look at a healthy cell which has a membrane, the communication of the membrane to the soul, and you have the communication lines. This is your spirit energy, your electromagnetism field that communicates from the membrane to the soul. All right, you look at the laws of nature is something that you cannot mess with. There are many other laws on the earth which are going to fall apart. The old system is going because it is manipulation, and it's made from another force which is not the law of nature. Okay, so the law of nature, the earth has woken up. She is healing, and no human can stop that. So actually what our main issue is now is keeping the earth alive. There's no earth, there's no humanity. So we are all called to do our own inner child healing and return to our soul. So people like me can go down to the under different dimensions, not always the underworld, but some mainly, where our soul, when our soul is fractured off by trauma, which mine was many times, and it's like a piece of the pie, a piece of your light. I mean, the enlightenment of the heart gets fractured off, okay? And you go back and you can go and collect these soul parts and you bring it in, but you have to be ready to change, okay? I haven't always been able to speak. Most of my life I didn't speak. I didn't know I could have an opinion. Didn't know that I could stand up for myself. Many different things. And I've had to go through a lot of deep darkness and going into my memories. And each time, this is again going back to how I understand the amnesia, because I can see the pattern of what's happening to everybody's mind and confusion, and all of this is exactly what happened to me a few years ago, and I was on my own. But I do know when I went, the only thing I could change was myself. And I understood. There was one day I was in the courtroom in the High Court, and I realized, oh my fucking God, no one's believing me about anything that's happening to me. And I keep telling people and everyone I speak to, and it's getting worse, basically. So what do I do? What do I do? And I knew that this had to be a reflection of myself, my own belief or my own truth. So what did I do? I asked, and I had to find a way. I just had to go in and understand my past. So I looked under veterans, I looked under PTSD. I knew I had PTSD, but the system wasn't helping me, it was making me worse. Any medication was making me worse. Anyone I asked was making me worse. No one believed me. It's this continuation, my darkness of hell. And I had a son and I was on my own. So I kept going in and I understood. So I looked under veterans and serious PTSD, and I understood. And I looked into this. So what did they microdosing psilocybin, which are magic mushrooms or truffles, and soul retrieval. This is how I found these two things. And then along the way, I found other techniques, exercise, diet changes, and things like this, liver flushing. So many different things. And I had to isolate myself, and I lost a lot of friends. Not a lot of people understood what I was going through. I couldn't explain it. A lot of people couldn't help, or they didn't believe me. And every time that would happen, it would trigger me more. So I just had to keep quiet for a little bit. So I feel like I've been in my own COVID for a while, but I understand why now, because now I'm here to explain and share my truth and my story. For those that it helps, this might not sit with everybody, and it may do not now, but then later. This is my truth. So I'm not here to have any debate. My energy is not on earth to do that. Okay, I don't need to be questioned. This will help people, and my energy is going to go in where I'm helping people that are suicidal with spiritual attacks. I'm helping children, especially families, because when you have entities in, you're both fractured. I had me and my son, and we were both fractured, both had trauma, and it was very, very difficult for us. And I just knew I had to heal to help him. And the more I had healed, and now I can have this relationship, and I was with him 24/7, and I had to heal this relationship. So I'm particularly here to help people that are really, really struggling. So send this video around. Anyone that's had psychosis, anyone that's hearing voices, anyone that's seeing things, a lot of the spirit world, especially now Halloween's going to come in this wave of natural COVID. So natural COVID is coming in Halloween. Why? Because it's a shift of the yin and the yang, these equinoxes. Okay. Now when the earth heals, detoxing symptoms are the same as a virus is detoxing. A virus is something you react to. So the information they're giving you on the outside of how to deal with this is incorrect. Okay, so the truth is going to come out, because people that have had the vaccine, you've just had a spiritual attack, so you're detached from your body, so you're unable to process the wave that's coming. All right, when you're healthy, when you're spiritually healthy, you can detox anything. So there's this other thing as well. Now, I've had every wave, and I've been having waves for a long, long time, actually, I've realized. But so I've just been detoxing. And this is the whole thing of us, basically. Consciousness is awakening. So we are moving up. The consciousness is here, but we have to bring the body with us. There's this thing about going like 5D and things, and then the phone. I mean, the phone's going to change with us. There's nothing wrong with 5D, 3D, up and up. It's, if you imagine the earth bodies had this trauma for thousands of years, like she had a car accident. Okay, so to prevent her from dying, she had to lock off. Okay, shut off from here. This is Egypt, by the way, the throat, the pyramid. Hopefully the pyramid will fall down in a few years. And this is the consciousness awake. But if this was to happen now, we'd all freak out, because we'd start to see in all these dimensions. And when you see in the dimensions, you've got to see the darkness as well. Okay, so I do kind of communicate with the dark forces as well as the light forces, because they're there. They're just there, and they need the light. I lost my train of thought now. Totally gone. That can happen. Never mind. Back to Egypt. Yes, COVID. Yeah, so when the body's awakening, so bringing the body with us. So basically, we will be living on Earth once again in a beautiful place. She is a magnificent planet that is here to be experienced with awareness. So I also don't believe we're meant to come through the female body. I think we were actually meant to come through from the galaxy, another planet, as whatever different species we used to be. You've got Pleiadians, Arcturians, many different ones. There's lots of videos on there now. I've only just realized these different things the last few years as well. So we're meant to come down to Earth and actually sort of be aware that we're here, and communicate to the other galaxies. Communicate. This is why we're having these communications. So we're all going to become shamans. We're all going to become telepathic. We're all going to become, we can do readings and have communications, but at the moment there's only a few people that are in this realm that have gone through a very, very deep trauma, and it's not, yeah, I'm ahead of you. It's we had those who are doing stuff like I'm doing have had very deep trauma, and we came here to Earth to help this awakening for the sake of keeping the planet going. Okay, so the people that are passing are still alive, because I'll communicate with them for others who are here, and actually they can communicate with whoever is left behind on Earth, so they can support better actually from the spiritual realm. And it then means whoever has the strength to stay here on earth and help with the awakening of the earth body, her body, she's healing. Then once she gets in this healthy position again, then her realms will be very strong. And then the dark forces won't be allowed to be on the earth realm. And we can live in this harmony once again. And the ones that have passed can then come back down to earth. You know, this ability that we can come back down to these planets will happen again. So I am aware that there's going to be more passings this year, but the people that pass it's they, you know, sounds terrible, doesn't it? But I mean, when I passed, you know, I've had lots of suicide thoughts. And when I'm under spiritual attack, I can feel it. I would just want to get out of here. I want to get out of here. But I know that something's in my field. But it doesn't mean sometimes if I mean, I've been under a lot of spiritual attack because obviously the dark doesn't want me to do my work as well. And it can take me a while, or I have to process and detox, or I have to do a Kambo or a ceremony. And other times I can just say, just leave. It depends how, you know, forceful it is. But this is how I can help others as well. This is what suicide thoughts are. So if something else is in your field, you know, that what they vibrate on, they don't have a soul. The human soul is very, very light and very amazing. And if we don't have our own safe bubble, like our immunity, so they're in our field. And this is what the system has been doing. So the vaccine will lower your frequency because it's full of heavy metals, and it will detach you from your pineal gland. Wearing a mask so you can't breathe will bring your aura field down again. And then sharing this energy in different spaces, different times, moons. This is why this is why we've been out this weekend. But anyway, that's another subject of things. But what I'm saying is sometimes what you're feeling or thinking is not your energy. So we need to understand where it could be your trauma, unprocessed trauma. When trauma is processed, it's a spiritual gift. Okay, and you understand that once it's processed. Or it can be somebody you're living in a household with. It can be something that you've picked up outside on somebody else's aura, especially if they're wearing a mask. Or you can have an entity of sort. You can have a spiritual soul person that's passed but it's got trapped because there's a block between the source at the moment. Or you can have, you know, I've been clearing Grim Reapers. I mean, you know, there's different levels, okay? So it's just to have this awareness. So if you know of anyone that is struggling with suicide thoughts and things like this, then do send them my way. I'm going to be doing a few more videos of how to really tap into your higher self and your soul. When we do this, and when we ask to attach to the energy of the Mother Earth field, and we ask to attach to the Father Light energy from above, and we do deep breathing with this power and knowledge, we can then blow up our bubble. So our bubble is 2 meters, funny, eh? So when we are in contact with our higher self, which comes from the heart and the soul, our electromagnetic field, which is not woo-woo, you know, we don't plug ourselves in. When you have an ECG, it checks your heart rate. So this, when it's a very high frequency, can come out even further. Actually, when you do healing work, it's further. But basically, this is generally here. And this is when we have a mask, it comes down to 1 meter, so it's less safe and it's a baggy field. So then we can catch things from somebody, not catch things, but you pick up other people's energies. And remember the virus source, and also another thing is the dark forces are on the earth realm now because they're here to stop the awakening. They weren't here before 2020. They came back about April 2020, they told me. So they're there, but they've come down to just, you know, fight the spiritual war. They don't want the truth out, you know. So they just want to have the light, but without it being open. But it is this thing about the light has won. It's won because it's always light and dark. It's not about winning or losing, but it's about being seen, actually. So I mean, some people say, you know, the light's already won. It has, but we've still got to do purging of the low frequency trauma of our own stuff for the sake of the earth. So when your body's healing, you have cells that are unhealthy and healthy cells. Which ones? Ones are connected to the nucleus, and ones that there's no communication going on. So when you purge and you detox, when you sweat out, you're getting rid of the cells that don't serve you, and you're keeping the cells that do. And this is exactly what the earth is going to do. So you have a choice of to do the healing work with your soul and your inner self. Otherwise, she will purge you, but not to be feared, to be understood. That when if people do pass, you can still have contact with them. They're still there, but there's just their choice of soul contracts and things like that. And then if you are still here, then you're meant to be here. And then you go through the strong healing that is true. The medicines I use are all from the earth. They're not man-made. They're given to us for reasons, and it is hard work. I'm not bullshitting that. It is hard work, but it is. I'd rather do that than be confused, be manipulated, anything to have just clarity. I'm very clear. I am the sanest I've been for years in my life, and I'll put my hands up and say I'm proud of mental health, because you know what, if you don't have any mental health right now, then it's kind of near psychopathy sort of thing, because it means you've got no emotion. And there's a lot of dark, there's a lot of, there's abuse, there's fights, there's manipulation, there's things happening in the world that you should be feeling, and you should be upset, and you should be, depression is stagnation. I'm bored. I'm not connected to my purpose. I'm frustrated. I'm angry. I'm depressed. Anxiety because something's going on that's manipulating me. It's a correct feeling. If you're panicking, you have something in your energy field that is causing you to do this. Then you need to see someone more than a doctor, someone that understands the spiritual world and the spiritual war and the spiritual body. And the spiritual body is 90% of the subconscious, okay? The spiritual realm. So this is what I'm saying. This is what this video is all about. And again, if it doesn't suit you, doesn't resonate with you, then it's fine. Don't have to post it, don't have to share it. But I am going to post it about, and it's here to and also join forces. Let's join forces with any other healers that watch this, that understand the work behind it. Let's join us together. Let's do some videos together at the same time and bring in people that need this work, this energy field work. Yeah, I was going to say where I am. I mean, you can look on my website, but when you're doing spiritual work, it doesn't really matter where you are, actually, which is a beauty. But so anywhere in the world. But yeah, so that's my video. Any questions or inquiries? I do soul retrievals online. I can do soul surgery. I can travel to your soul and heal parts of it. I can go back and pick up traumas that you may not remember, because I have that depth and the ability of skills to do that. I can do Akashic records. So basically what I do when I tune into you, when I do these sessions, I tap into the higher self and the soul and the spiritual realm, and it tells me what it wants. Sometimes it wants a reading from maybe your Pleiadians and Syrians, Alshurians. Maybe it wants you to go back to a soul past in this life, in a child work. Sometimes it wants you to go back to a soul past. Okay, sometimes it just goes straight in and says what your purpose is. And then it will guide me. No, you need to do some Cambo, a liver flush. You need to do a detox. You need to do juicing. You need to cut this out. So it will just guide me to whatever information your higher self needs. So I'm a safe channel for this information to come through. There's a lot of manipulation and a lot of lies, and unless that person is can actually say, keep you safe to do a reading and ask any entity, virus, bacteria, parasite, anything to clear off of your aura field, then the information I can get through is safe and it's correct, and it's your higher self and your inner child. So that's exactly what I do. That's what I can do online, in person. I can do lots of other different work. So just drop me a line or look on my website. Lots of love. I hope this helps. And yeah, let's spread the love and healing, light and hope, knowledge and power, truth. And just coming about the vaccines for children. Please, please, please. Children have immunity. Do you know also children are, if they are, because I heard today some children about 14 getting waves, not big symptoms, mind, because I was checking about 14, 15-year-olds, testing, but maybe just had an itchy eye. So not big symptom. The itchy eye is the heat in the liver. The liver is the organ that we need to clear to help anything in the body. I actually believe that the liver is the king. I've gone on another subject now, but so I continually purge my liver. Why? Because I had a cardiac arrest and I didn't go to hospital, so I have a weak heart valve. Now I need my organ, the liver, to continually feed my heart. And I do that, with Kambo medicines, flushing, spiritual practice, etc., etc. So the itchy eye is the liver reacting to now the child probably carrying the toxins from the parents in the house from having the vaccine. So children are obviously less fractured and they come through very light as a whole soul. Obviously, it might come through with ancestral stuff, but which they do. But what I'm saying is, if the adults or the older people in that household have had the vaccine, there'll be heavy metals. So the liver of that child will be purging it. So the children are like the cleaners of those adults. So that's why they're having symptoms or coming up, but they do not need a vaccine, because as soon as they have a vaccine, they are separated from their pineal gland. Okay, why did we have these lasers in their eye? The pineal gland is here, guys, here to here. Yeah. Anyway, I just hope I can help as many children not receive vaccine, which is very heavy metals, and the body really doesn't need this dose of toxins. We're at the end of this line that humanity can take a dose of toxins. Okay, the liver is there to clear the filter, but remember how old this liver has been dealing with toxins. And really the toxins is the spiritual lies that we've been digesting for thousands of years, and it has to go into the gut, and the liver is full. You know, we haven't been clean. You can heal many things with liver flushing, and it's the organ that does most of the functioning in the body. But I've got videos on that separately. So I'm just going to send that off. That just came through actually at the end, because that was, you know, that was the beginning of my video, and that's why, because they are making children these vaccines. Oh, right. Lots of love. Bye.